That time I got reincarnated as a demon lord, English, by LordedoMal44. 39 leisure time and a special name, wow. And to think that all this happened to you after my death. Sorry, I guess. I kind of screwed up your old life. Don't be silly, Sato. Rimuru. You had nothing to do with this. If there's anyone to blame, it's Tamura, who wasn't there to defend me when I needed him. I looked at Tasuki, still feeling amazed at how much like the old she looked now that her appearance was practically that of a human with horns. Apparently, Tasuki was already close to evolving into an ogre prior to the nomination due to her unique skill, Magic Reactor, and as a result, instead of evolving once she made a leap and went straight into the Kijin race, a race superior to ogres. Come to think of it, naming her was worse than naming the entire Ranga pack, and I gave each of them individual names, so she was a real sweet tooth when it came to evolve. But since it reunited me with an old friend from another world I haven't seen in months, I guess I can ignore it. Also, living as a normie and all is cool, but in part, I feel like I've missed out on a lot living like that. I can be a little sarcastic, and maybe even unsympathetic, but I prefer who I am now to be as cute and sure as before. Really? Well, I'd say you're more Tsunere than obnoxious though. I felt her gaze locked on me with more force than usual after I said that, but again, I didn't care. If her face completely wasn't proof that she knew what I was saying was the truth, then I really don't know what could be. Anyway, about Tamura. What about him? Yep, the mood completely changed with a single sentence. Can I just say it's nothing? Well, actually there's no point in just running away from it, is there? My doubts won't diminish, and she's the only otherworldly person I've ever lived with that I'll ever meet in this world, and meeting her was lucky. At the very least, she's the only person who can answer me about what happened to him. You said that after you saw the photo you gave up on finding him. Have you heard anything from him since then? You know? Anything? No. Lucky for Tamura, I never heard from him again. Okay. Please stop looking at me with those empty eyes. I'm not your target here, Tamura. Your ex-girlfriend is scary. But the police came to me and they confirmed that, in fact, he ran away with a girl. They confirmed the presence of a couple of young people who were seen taking the train that day, the same train ticket that I saw in the photo where she kissed Tamura. Even so, they lost track of them at the station in the neighboring town. So Tamura really ran off with another girl. Tamura, I would put my hand in the fire for you. You were always such a pure person, but would you let me burn like this? Leave Sawatari? Serious? And this after you asked my blessing on your relationship? I feel kind of let down by Tamura. I don't know what his motives are, but I'm going to punch him in the face the next time I see him. Ah, don't worry about that. I've already prepared a unique set of spells for the day I meet Tamura. It's going to be such a magical day. Scary. What she said sounded like cute words, spoken by a girl in love, but her eyes, without a hint of light in them, looked like empty holes. You could clearly see that those eyes promised only pain and suffering in a way that no professional warrior or torturer could deliver. I never thought about it before, but a betrayed woman is the scariest thing in the world, isn't it? I better never make that mistake. Less than. Greater than why did I feel a chill down my spine so suddenly? Anyway, let's end this topic here, Rimuru. I'm more curious about these four you brought out of the cave with you, as well as this fluffy slime. Suka said as he stared at the three girls and the sage, who had been sitting next to us all this time, and of course, at the slime that was in his arms as well. Somehow, she got the slime in her arms and wouldn't let go no matter how much time passed. I feel like I'm jealous. She took Tasuki-chan's lap. She is in my place. Well, these are my creations. Using one of my new skills I brought them to life. And the one over there that looks like me is the sage controlling a clone. I understand that part. It may not seem like it, but I can identify things better now that everything in me has evolved. Still, I mean, what are their names? Okay then. I pointed at one of them, and then she took a step forward. The one who stepped forward had the appearance of a loli, although since she was just born, that might be true. Her hair is white, going down to below her waist. Her eyes are a reddish almond color and, although not quite, she has a little pale skin. Her appearance, despite this, is that of a beautiful girl, with the air of always being sleepy. This is Argento. She was born from a giant bat, rank C, but somehow accidentally evolved into this form. I am Argento Tempest. I hope you will take care of me from now on." Argento said as much and lowered her head, the drowsy air never leaving her as she looked almost asleep on her feet. "Is this because she is a bat? I'll have to check with her later. I wouldn't want to keep her up during the day if she prefers the night, so I'd better check, just in case." The next one is. The one who stepped forward also had white hair and almond eyes, but she wasn't a loli. No, she was a far cry from being a loli. In fact, if anyone were to see her, the first thing they would think would be that they found Argento's Oni-san, or at the very least, her very young mother. Despite this, strangely, both are of different races. Why were they so similar? This is Shiroori. She was born from a black spider, rank B+. Despite her appearance, please don't allow yourself to be deceived. Her form is the one that has been reduced the most. Well, actually, I think it was obvious just by looking at it. As Shiroori walked, I could see how she clumsily tried to take a step without making a mistake, probably still not being used to having 2 legs instead of 8. But since we can't fill the entire passageway with her body, I had no option but to ask her to stay in a smaller form. In the end, she managed to get to Argento's side and, struggling to her feet, said in a barely audible voice, I'm Shiroori. I might be trouble, but please take care of me." Was she trying to hide behind the Argento? That was the thought I had, but that shouldn't be the case. She was bigger than Argento, in every way, and there was no way Shiroori could hide behind her, let alone hide. It's like trying to hide 2 watermelons behind an apple crate. Less than. Greater than wise, don't look at me with that look. I'm not thinking anything perverted, and I guarantee I won't be for a while after what you did to me. Less than. Greater than, and wipe that smug smile off your face, please. Why do I feel that now that the sage has a physical body, I will suffer even more? Lastly, the second oldest of the sisters. She was born from the sage's attempted fusion between Armsoros, an armored lizard, and the storm serpent. It can be considered as an A+ rank monster. Tiamat. Tiamat started crawling to join her sisters immediately after hearing my words. Unlike the sisters, she didn't seem sleepy at all. Furthermore, no shyness could be seen in her, and she even had a smile on her face. Oh, and I said, if it crawls. Why, unlike the others, even now her lower body part is that of a snake. Whether she can transform or not, I have no idea. If she wants to transform and look more like a human, certainly not. She seems to have fun with that look of hers though, so I didn't mind. Oh, by the way, she, like the others, had white hair and reddish almond eyes. Her scales were also white in color, indicating her total albinism, and some of the few other colored scales formed a beautiful red pattern all over her body. As for her size, let's say melons. No, it's better to stop. The sage is staring at me again. Less than. Greater than you can't criticize, as Odo-chan said. I am Tiamat Tempest. I hope to be of use here and I hope I can learn a lot from you. Tiamat and Tasuki stared at each other for a few seconds, not a word being said by either of them. Even so, is it just me or did a Hania mask suddenly appear behind Tasuki-chan? And why did a serpent with wings appear behind Tiamat? What kind of unspoken confrontation am I not getting here? Less than, it's a woman's thing. You wouldn't understand. Greater than. And why do you understand? Well, anyway. There's also Sarai, who's been in her arms all this time, but she still hasn't shown much of a reaction. She doesn't speak because she's a slime, but I think we'll soon break that barrier of language. I know Sarai-chan will make it. Tasuki muttered that and then brought Sarai closer to her face, hugging her against her face. A smile spread across her face as she hugged Sarai, but where her trust in Sarai came from, I really didn't know. I mean, it's not exactly easy being a slime. Okay. If it weren't for Predator and Great Sage, then I'm sure I would still be trapped in that cave. I suddenly think I should be nicer to the sage, no. Less than. Greater than I will think about it. By the way, you're still grounded. So, Rimuru. Who would that be? I looked at the sage, who Tasuki-chan was pointing at. The clone's expression was null, as expected from a skill-like sage, but why do I feel like she has a cocky smile on her face? I'll just take this as my impression. This is my skill, being of knowledge. The sage. Well, To be honest, I don't think I've ever thought of a name for it, but this is the first time it's materialized like that. Is that so? Although it looks a little sad, I faced the sage again. A part of me wanted her to go back to acting just like a skill, talking to me through my thoughts and being my main companion. Even with our conversations, discussions and opinions, I felt that it was only natural. I liked those times we spent together, just the two of us. But I said the sage was my mate, didn't I? I hope I won't regret this decision. Sage, I have a request for you. I intend to use this clone system in the future to teach my subordinates directly. It would be sad if they confused you and me with the other clones, so I could create a clone with a unique appearance? Question. Didn't the individual Rimuru Tempest say that I could select a form similar to that of the individual in Shizu Izawa? I glared at the clone. Why did she look sad? She has no emotions in her expression. There's no way she can be sad. Just do it. It's important. The sage didn't say anything more, but, although with a slightly sad countenance, he started to change his form, just as I had asked. I shifted my gaze to Tasuki-chan, who, judging by the smile she has on her face, probably realized what my aim was, so I guess there would be no problem. Oh, and just for the record, the reason the sage didn't notice is that he's using parallel existence, so only information that we actively think about sharing is given to someone else. Convenient. And destructive when it comes to the danger it poses to me. The sage wouldn't rebel against me, would he? Done. Is this appearance more pleasing to the individual Rimuru Tempest? This appearance was based on the design of a gal from the holy texts. Yes, it's good. I ignored Tasuki-chan's question about what the sacred texts were as I tried not to start drooling at the sage's new appearance. All I can say is just, wow. The sage's hair, which used to be a bluish silver just like mine, has changed to the white color of my daughter. The three monsters I created. In stark contrast, her skin color became much darker, only slightly lighter than Ifrit's skin. Her clothes, created with the weapons creation skill, also changed shape. A shirt that ended above the navel and short shorts. Again, I'm not a lolicon, but why is it that the sage knows how to tease me so well? Girl, you know how to choose, huh? She's really killing it, isn't she, Rimuru? Don't you think she looks beautiful? Tasuki-chan said, clearly teasing me because I was still trying not to look at the sage too much. Rimuru, calm down. It's just your skill. It's a part of you. You can't be in love with a part of you. Yes, she looks beautiful. I have very good taste, don't you think? The two smiles only grew, but I ignored them. Why is it that the women around me like to tease me so much? Am I paying for some sins from a past life that I don't know about? Less than. Greater than okay, I understand. Well, now what really matters? Sage. From now on I want you to use this independent body. You will live with us. With me, as part of Tempest. You can make your own decisions if necessary. For the first time the expression on the sage's face changed. Surprise appeared on his face, which I expected. After all, the sage shouldn't expect me to make that decision. Tasuki, on the other hand, was smiling as if she believed this was just the most obvious thing in the world, so it's more than obvious that she's understood my intention. In short, I just want to avoid the trouble of having to explain to others all the things the sage explains to me. In short, I got the perfect assistant. I just don't need to say it out loud. You can draw on the sacred texts to create your personality, but I would prefer you to develop something more of your own. I think that with time and getting along with everyone you should be able to create something that is just you, would not be? The sage. No, she still had a surprised look on her face as she stared at me, clearly still dumbfounded that I had made this decision. Well, it's just the most practical thing to do, and besides, after what happened in the cave I can't ask her to just go back to being a skill and pretend none of that happened. But if I do that to her, which is a part of me, would that be? It's better not to think too much about it. Impossible to understand. What is the reason for this decision? Huh? You're my partner, didn't I tell you? You and I will be together forever? Her eyes closed for a moment. If I concentrated I could feel how she was combing through the sacred texts and forming an artificial personality based on the information there, but I just ignored it. I already knew she would accept, so it was best that I just wait. In the next moment, she opened her eyes and... Why is she looking at me with hungry eyes? And why is she coming towards me? Will she do it? Will she do it? And in front of the children? Before I knew it, I had my back against a wall, with her arm at the side of my head as she pressed me there. A smile was on her face, and her crimson red eyes, sharp as the eyes of a hungry person, were staring at me with the gaze of a wild animal. Seriously, what happened to her today? If that's the case, Rimuru, I think I might like being on your side, but don't think about it too much. Ah, so she chose the personality of a tsundere delinquent? I understand. The personality is intimidating when it wants to be, but this tsundere way of hers serves as the perfect balance to keep her as a cute person. Boy, the sage really knows how to choose with great quality when it comes to manga. Still, tsunderes are tsunderes. In one swift movement I caught her wrist and, spinning at high speed, I had her back against the wall. In a second our positions were reversed and now a smile was on my face as she seemed backed against the wall. Well, if you're going to be by my side then, Seal, since you've been teaching me so many things all this time, I think this would be the perfect name for you. I'll call you Seal from now on. In an instant Ciel's face turned a little redder, but I ignored it. It's not like naming myself was going to change anything. After all, it was just a skill, but now the sage had a name that everyone in Tempest could use to refer to it. Also, the name Seal really suits her. Cough, cough. Could you guys do some flirting later? Preferably away from the kids, and in private. Seal and I looked at Tasuki-chan, who was looking at us with a sarcastic and judgmental smile set. Also, for some reason she was putting a hand in front of Sarai, as if she was trying to cover her eyes, even though she doesn't have eyes. I'm not flirting, but you're right. I moved away from Seal, letting her move away from the wall. Let's ignore our red faces. There really were some things that were important for us to resolve right now. The main issue that Tasuki and I had to resolve had been going on for a long time. Seal. Take the children to the Tempest house, please, so that they can choose their rooms from the available rooms. We have many things we need to resolve today. Yes, Rimuru. Shall we, girls? Sure, Okawa-chan. Ignore it, Rimuru. Ignore it. What's the problem with them calling Seal Mom? It's not like they're wrong. Or that you're married. And it's not like what happened in the cave means. It gets worse every time I think about it. It's better that I just don't think about it. You were hooked by her, right? I sure was. You can smile, Tasuki-chan. I may have lost my battle with Seal, but I still haven't lost the war. Now, seriously. Anyway, on the main issue. What we talked about at the last executive meeting, it's decided. Get everyone together and tell them to prepare a second meeting. We'll be leaving in a few hours. So we're really doing this? Yes. The look on Tasuki-chan's face was apprehensive for a moment, but she replaced that look with a serious look shortly thereafter. Yup. That's the kind of look I want to see on her face right now. We are not the same as before. There is no need to be scared just because we have a strong enemy knocking on our door. Or, for that matter, why would we go knocking on a strong enemy's door? Warn everyone. We're going to declare war on the ogres.